Cardi B just lit a match and threw it into the most gasoline-soaked corner of the rap industry. And tonight, the entire internet is standing in the blast radius picking sides. Because what looked like a petty little argument over a borrowed beat has now spiraled into something far darker. An alleged cheating rumor manufactured out of thin air and passed around the industry while Cardi B was pregnant with her daughter. A private phone call she says exists on recording, a bombshell about who was really moving inside her ex-husband's circle, and a chilling promise that album number 3 already has names written on it. And the woman standing directly in the middle of the explosion? BIA. What you are about to hear is not gossip. It is a timeline, a fully reconstructed, date-by-date, witness-by-witness timeline. And by the end of it, you will understand exactly why Cardi B said she is officially done being nice. Let me tell you something about how these stories usually go. A tweet, a subliminal, a shady like on Instagram. That is the normal food chain of a rap feud. And we have all watched 100 of them flare up and die in a weekend. This is not that. This one has paper. This one has phone records, third-party witnesses, a diss track pressed to wax, a threatened lawsuit, an album named Am I the Drama with a body already buried inside it, and now, a live audio confession that rewrites everything you thought you knew about who started what. So lock in. No distractions. Because the deeper we go, the uglier it gets. Now before we get into it, let me confirm exactly what brought you here, because yes, it is all real. Cardi B jumped on a live audio stream and unloaded one of the most unfiltered, point-by-point takedowns of BIA that hip-hop has heard in years. And she did not come with just emotion. She came with dates. She came with names. She came with receipts she says are sitting in her phone right now, waiting. And the wildest part? Most of the internet had absolutely no idea any of this was happening behind the scenes. So let's rewind. Let's build this case exactly the way Cardi built it. And by the time we get to what she threatened at the very end, you are going to understand why fans are calling this the final nail. For anybody just tuning in, let's establish the players. Cardi B, Grammy winner, chart titan, Bronx-bred superstar, famous since she was 23 years old, a woman who has lived every second of her adult life in front of the cameras. And BIA, the Boston rapper best known for the record Whole Lotta Money, the same record that later earned a Nicki Minaj remix cosign. Hold on to that detail, because Nicki Minaj's orbit is going to matter later in this story. See, according to Cardi B, this saga does not begin with beef at all. It begins with obsession. Cardi claims BIA wanted to be her friend, desperately. She says BIA was constantly sending people to her with messages, constantly insisting she had no problem with Cardi, telling Cardi's friends, telling mutual acquaintances, telling anybody within earshot. Tell Cardi, I don't have a problem with her. And Cardi B's answer, every single time, was the same. I don't have a problem with you either. Leave me out of it. And here is where Cardi drew the first line in the sand. And honestly, it says a lot about who she claims to be when the cameras are off. Cardi B told the world she is not the type to pick sides in other people's wars. When BIA started collaborating with artists Cardi had history with, Cardi says she did not flinch. Her energy was, if a record benefits your career, do it, I do not care. She framed herself as the neutral party, the grown woman, the one who minds her business and stays out of situations that do not involve her. But according to Cardi B, neutrality was never going to be enough for BIA. She claims BIA kept pushing for a phone call, kept pushing for access, kept pushing for a relationship Cardi never asked for and never wanted. Cardi said it plainly. She never wanted to speak to this woman. And that, right there, is the true setup of this entire war. Because what happens when someone wants into your circle and the door stays closed? According to Cardi B, they stop knocking and they start scheming. Now let's talk about the match that lit the fuse, the Missy Elliott situation. In March of 2024, Cardi B dropped Like What Freestyle, a record that interpolates Missy Elliott's 1999 classic, She's a B. The problem? BIA had sampled the exact same Missy Elliott record a year earlier on a track called I'm That B. Almost instantly, fans started comparing the two songs. Timelines turned toxic, and BIA fed the fire with responses insinuating Cardi had copied her whole style. Now here is where Cardi B's version of events becomes critical. She says she had already been working on that record long before, and she says she proved it to BIA directly, with the files to back it up. A sample, Cardi argued, is just a sample. Two artists flipping the same classic does not mean anybody stole anything. She pointed out that she and plenty of other artists have landed on identical samples over the years without it becoming a federal case. But BIA, according to Cardi, was never looking for logic. She was looking for a storyline. And that storyline escalated fast. Because after the song drama came the music video drama. When Cardi B released the Enough Miami visuals, the narrative was pushed that Cardi had copied one of BIA's videos too. And this is the moment Cardi B shifted from defensive to disgusted. Her response was surgical. Who would want to copy you? She listed her actual inspirations out loud: Lady Gaga, Beyoncé, Rihanna, icons with decades of influence and mountains of classic work. And then she delivered the line that set social media ablaze. She does not even believe BIA's own nieces want to grow up to be like BIA. Vicious. But here is the key detail the entire internet glossed over. Cardi B says she and BIA actually got on the phone and settled the copying conversation like grown women. It was handled. It was dead. It was over. Or at least, Cardi thought it was over. Because what happened months later is the entire reason we are sitting here tonight. And this is where the story stops being about music and starts being about something far more sinister. Because if you thought a sample dispute was petty, wait until you hear what Cardi B says BIA was doing behind closed doors while Cardi was carrying a child. This next part of the timeline changes everything. The tone, the stakes, and the reason Cardi says this beef is personal in a way rap beef should never be. So stay locked in, because the paper trail is about to get dark. Let's lay out the battlefield first, because the diss tracks tell their own story. April 2024, BIA hops on Dreezy's remix, and fans immediately clock bars that sound aimed directly at Cardi B, including slick references to Cardi's marriage. May 2024, Cardi B fires back on Glorilla's Wannabe remix, standing shoulder to shoulder with Megan Thee Stallion, and the entire industry understood exactly who the target was. Then came June 2024, the first nuclear detonation. BIA released a full diss track called SUE MEEE, and inside it, she made the most dangerous accusation of this entire feud. She claimed Cardi B cheated on Offset. Not shade, not subliminals. A direct, home-wrecking allegation of infidelity pressed onto wax and sold to the world. And Cardi B's response? She did not run to the booth. She got on Instagram Live and played a recorded phone call between herself and BIA for the entire internet to hear. And then she threatened to take BIA to court. A lawsuit. Over a diss track. That is how radioactive this situation became. Now, to understand why this week matters, you have to understand where things stood. In September 2025, Cardi B dropped her long-awaited album, Am I the Drama? And on it sat a track called Pretty and Petty that was nothing short of a public execution. In October, BIA sat down at Hot 97 and gave her side, while Cardi publicly told her fanbase she was taking the high road. She said she would not bully BIA over the disappointing commercial performance of BIA's album Bianca. Then in April 2026, on tour, in front of thousands, Cardi B actually told her own fans to stop harassing BIA. The feud looked frozen, buried, finished. And then, this month, August 2026, BIA doubled down on the SUE MEEE allegations while responding to fan criticism. And that was the spark. Because Cardi B heard it, got on a live stream, and decided it was finally time to tell the class what really happened. And what she revealed reframed the entire war. Listen carefully, because this is the heart of everything. Cardi B alleges that back in March and April of 2024, while she was pregnant with her daughter, BIA was privately going around the industry telling people that Cardi was cheating on her husband. Not online, not on a song, in person, in the shadows. Cardi says BIA carried that fabricated story to two male rappers and to a producer who ran inside Offset's circle. Let that sink in for a second. A rumor with no text messages, no DMs, no photos, no dates, no witnesses, no proof of any kind. Allegedly hand-delivered to the people orbiting Cardi B's marriage, at the exact moment she was at her most vulnerable. Cardi B's challenge to the world was absolute. Find one message. Find one DM. Find one conversation. Find anything. She put it on her own children that there is nothing to find, because there was nobody. She says for the entire 7 years she was with her ex-husband, she was faithful, and that nobody, in the industry or in the streets, has ever been able to stand up and say otherwise. And then Cardi B made a point about her past that hit harder than any punchline. She reminded everybody that her whole life has been lived in public, that the world knows exactly who she was before the fame, that she has never hidden a single chapter of it, and that since the age of 23, with cameras on her every single day, not one person has ever come forward claiming they were secretly involved with her. Not one. Because, she says, she has always been in a relationship, always been solid, always been out in the open. She even addressed the man she has been linked to since. The internet has connected her to NFL star Stefon Diggs, and she drew the timeline herself. Those conversations began near the end of that summer, months after the rumor BIA allegedly spread back in March. Meaning, in Cardi B's framing, BIA did not expose a truth. BIA invented a lie, and invented it at the precise moment when it would do the maximum damage to a pregnant woman's home. Because here is the detail that made everybody's jaw hit the floor. Cardi B revealed that her ex-husband Offset was connected to one of BIA's own friends. In Cardi's telling, BIA's friend was involved with Offset, which means the woman allegedly spreading cheating rumors about Cardi B was running with someone who, according to Cardi, was entangled with Cardi's own husband. Read that again slowly. The accusation flips completely on its head. Cardi B framed it as the ultimate projection, a woman whose own circle was tangled up with Offset allegedly manufacturing an infidelity narrative about the wife. And Cardi did not stop there. She said she has proof. She said she went back and asked the artists and the producer directly who started the story, and she claims every single one of them pointed the finger at the same person. She even invoked the name Zoe, a figure who was managing BIA during that period, letting the world know she had been in conversation with her all along. Receipts, witnesses, a manager in the middle. This stopped being a rant a long time ago. This was testimony. Then Cardi B turned to another claim that had been floating around, the question of street credibility. And she answered it with her full Bronx origin story. She said she was brought home at 16 years old on Sedgwick Avenue, in the Sedgwick Projects, on a day when a whole group of them came in together, and that it was about family and loyalty, not the degrading fantasy people love to attach to women in that world. She said the man who brought her home remains her best friend to this very day. She never had to pay anybody. She never had to prove anything to anybody. She grew up with those people, went to school with them, came of age alongside them. And then came the geographical kill shot. Cardi B told BIA, "You are from Boston, the comfortable part of Boston, and you do not know how the Bronx gets down." She claimed BIA's own people drift toward Cardi's side of the map, and promised she will always be there to remind her exactly who runs what. Was it necessary? The internet is split right down the middle. Was it effective? Instantly. Within minutes, Boston versus the Bronx was trending, and everybody with a phone suddenly had a thesis on whether Cardi B went too far, or not nearly far enough. But hold on, because Cardi B was not finished emptying the chamber. She circled back to something that had clearly been eating at her for months, and it explains why this feud never healed, even when it looked buried. She pointed out that every time she tried to close the door, BIA allegedly found a new window. The phone call to settle the sample drama? Cardi says they ended it like grown women, and then BIA went right back online and reignited the copying narrative anyway. The High Road era? Cardi told her fans to stand down in April, and months later the SUE MEEE allegations got doubled down on in public. In Cardi B's telling, this is not a two-sided feud between equals trading shots. It is one woman trying to live her life, and another who, allegedly, keeps pulling the fire alarm every time her own momentum slows down. That framing matters. Because if the audience buys it, every future diss from BIA stops looking like competition and starts looking like desperation. And that is exactly the story Cardi B spent this entire live stream building, brick by brick, date by date. And then came the moment that has the entire industry holding its breath. Cardi B looked into the camera and issued a warning that sounded less like rap talk and more like a countdown clock. She said she has something tucked away, for BIA, and for every other name on that list, and that it is loaded and waiting on her third album. She said she does not even want to do it, but she could, and she would. She reminded everybody that she tried grace first. This is the same Cardi B who told her own fans to stand down, who refused to clown BIA over album sales, who publicly declined to punch down when punching down would have been easy. But kindness, Cardi said, got mistaken for weakness. And now the lesson is coming. She painted a picture from childhood. The belt, the shower, the kind of old-school punishment a person does not forget. The message underneath the metaphor was unmistakable. Leave me alone, or album 3 handles it for me. And do not think the music is finished talking, because Cardi B already gave the world a preview of what this warfare sounds like when it is pressed to wax. On Am I the Drama, the track Pretty and Petty opens with one of the most disrespectful challenges of the decade, daring anyone to name 5 BIA songs with their life on the line, and declaring the listener dead where they stand. The record mocked BIA's flow, her look, her bookings, her entire position in the rap ecosystem. Cardi even worked in a Mean Girls reference, casting herself as the Queen Bee and BIA as, at best, a Gretchen. But on the live stream, Cardi B added a brand new layer to the assault, and this one cuts deeper than any insult. She claimed BIA, the artist who constantly lectures the culture about writing, penmanship, and bars, did not even write her own biggest record. And Cardi says she has the proof of that too, sitting in the tuck with everything else. In a genre where the pen is sacred, that accusation is not a diss. It is an execution. Now let's step back for a second, because Cardi B closed her stream with a theory about why all of this is really happening. And whether you love her or cannot stand her, the psychology is hard to argue with. Her point was this: the envy was never about music. It was never about a sample or a video concept. She said the jealousy aimed at her is about everything: the career, the house, the cars, the children, the way the public embraces her no matter what she does. She said these women even want the painful parts of her life, because even Cardi B's worst day exists at an altitude their best day never reaches. She described being picked on relentlessly, year after year, jab after jab, and said she finally understands the timing of it all. The diss arrived when she was pregnant, when her marriage was collapsing in public, during a season when every rapper in the game was trading diss records and clout was flowing to whoever bled loudest. Dissing Cardi B, in this framing, was never about respect or competition. It was a marketing strategy. She was the biggest target in the room, and somebody decided a wounded giant was an easy one. So what happens now? That is the question the entire industry is asking tonight. Because the pieces on the board are terrifying. Cardi B claims she is holding recordings, named witnesses, and unreleased ammunition for a third album. BIA has doubled down publicly and shown zero signs of retreating. Offset's name is now permanently stitched into the middle of the story, and the fanbases are at DEFCON 1, digging through old interviews, old lyrics, and old photos looking for anything that confirms their side. One thing is certain: whoever moves next is stepping onto a minefield. If BIA responds on wax, she risks pulling whatever Cardi claims to have in the tuck. If she stays silent, the narrative Cardi B just built hardens into history. There is no safe square left on the board. So now I need to hear from you, because this story has the culture completely divided down the middle. Question 1. Did BIA cross a line that can never be uncrossed by allegedly spreading a cheating rumor about a pregnant woman? Or is everything fair in rap beef? Question 2. Cardi B says she has the recordings and named the witnesses. If she drops the receipts, does this feud end on the spot, or does it burn even hotter? And question 3. The big one. Should Cardi B actually unload everything on the third album, or is she handing BIA exactly the attention she was fishing for from day one? Drop your verdict in the comments right now, because the comment section on this one is going to be a war zone all by itself, and I will be in there reading every single take. Let's be crystal clear about what this feud has already cost both women, because the receipts are public. Cardi B's Am I the Drama era absorbed constant questions about Pretty and Petty and whether dissing a smaller artist was beneath a Grammy winner. BIA's Bianca rollout got swallowed whole by feud coverage instead of music coverage, and Cardi B, to her credit, publicly refused to dance on those numbers when she easily could have. 2 album cycles, 2 press runs, endless interview minutes, all burned on a war that started, if Cardi's version holds up, with one woman allegedly refusing to accept that the door to friendship was closed. That is the part that should genuinely unsettle every artist watching this. Because if Cardi B is telling the truth, none of this was ever about bars. It was about access denied, and what some people are willing to burn down when they cannot get in. And that is where we stand. What began with a woman allegedly begging to be Cardi B's friend has ended with accusations of fabricated rumors. Whispers passed through rappers and producers, flipped loyalty inside Offset's own circle, and a third album hanging over the rap game like a loaded weapon with the safety off. Cardi B said it herself in her own way. She might laugh today and be furious tomorrow, but once she decides somebody needs a lesson, class is officially in session. The only question left is whether BIA answers on wax, or stays quiet and prays the storm passes over. And trust me, the second anything moves, I will have every single detail right here before anybody else. So if you're not tapped in yet, hit that subscribe button, turn on every notification, and go watch my full breakdown of the Cardi and Nicki timeline next, because that story connects to this one in ways that will genuinely blow your mind. Until next time, keep your eyes open and keep your receipts saved.